The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign up today, bet $100 and get $100 at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. State restrictions apply. We're also brought to you by the SGPN NFL Playoff Challenge. $500 in cash and prizes up for grabs exclusively on the SGPN app. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is Wednesday, the 11th of January, and I am here with my co-host to have a look at the AL news, early betting odds, predictions, free agent signings. Just have a little troll through the AL, see what we make of it for our first show of 2023. And the esteemed co-host that I make mention of is none other than Mr. Noah Bieniek. Noah, what's happening?
Nothing too much, Malcolm. We just had a little bit of the live viewers might realize that we're 30 minutes late recording this, but the people that are downloading the podcast have no idea that we just spent 30 minutes trying to just figure out how microphones work. But, during the break, thank God we had a little bit of a break. I had COVID, and I went from COVID. I had like 4 days where I felt okay, and then I went right into bronchitis. I still have a nasty cough. So I'm going to try my best to mute myself throughout the podcast. But I'm ready to talk some baseball. It's right around the corner, baby.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've done a show just about every other day. I've done about 60 shows since we last spoke.
I know. I like your setup since we last spoke, too.
No, yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute. No problem.
You're not slick either. I saw the soccer jersey on the other podcasts, and now you got the night off. Yeah,
well, I remember to change that about 30 seconds before. I've done all of those shows with very few technical issues whatsoever. I've used the same setup and it's just worked. Logged on tonight to talk to you. Fuck all. Absolutely nothing. Couldn't hear each other. It was just, in a way, no, it was quite reassuring that our uselessness has carried straight on into 2023. Yeah, I have my soccer shirt underneath. I have my old Kevin Keegan England shirt on, but I did remember to put my Newcastle Nighthawks jersey up there. Yeah, I've all changed. I've gone professional because you boys were showing me up, particularly Dylan with his flash setup. I've got my great big Christmas. Do you have the things called Oodies in the US of A? This big.
No, we don't have Oodies, but it kind of looks like a set of like a robe or something.
Oh, well, I wore my robe a couple of times during the World Cup and caused quite a stir, let me tell you. I was sitting here like, what's his name? The Playboy Mansion bloke doing the podcast and caused quite a sting. No, this is like knee length and like a bear hide. It's like a muumuu, a big, really thick muumuu. So
it looks
sorry?
Silk. It looks like it's silk.
Oh, no, it's big and thick and furry. Like I say, it's like bearskin.
I will tell you, I watched the movie Glass Onion on Netflix over the break.
Yes.
And James Craig's character reminded me of you because in the beginning of the movie, when they first show him, he's just sitting there in the bath and he's got everything right around him with the laptop and everything. So thought of you.
I ate a chocolate orange in the bath on Sunday. Do you have chocolate oranges in America?
No, we do not. What's that?
No. It's a chocolate orange. I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. It's like the size of a tennis ball, taste of orange, but it's chocolate. And I ate one of them in the bath like Homer Simpson the other night. If I don't have a heart attack in the next 18 months, it'll be an absolute miracle. But baseball, I had a little dive around MLB and fan graphs and places this afternoon because I've been doing the World Cup and then morphed straight into the Premier League Gambling Podcast. Give that little plug. 3 winners out of 4 over the last 2 nights. Nice. So we're nice and hot over there.
Hit me up to make a clip for you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You've been doing putting our great big fat faces on the clips. But getting into some baseball this afternoon, mate, it was nice. It's pretty it's pretty near upon us, really. It's right around the corner. So we thought we'd do a couple of shows, one this week and one next week, just looking at the American League. So we've got 15 teams. We'll give ourselves a couple of minutes per team. We've kind of split them up, and we'll just have a look at who's re-signed, which free agent acquisitions, any departures, and then the strengths and the weaknesses, and if there's any early odds, or I think you've got the totals as well, we can have a look at. So before we get into all that, I'll make mention of our headline sponsor on the MLB Gambling Podcast. We need $5 in the jar every time I say Premier League or World Cup Gambling Podcast instead of MLB. I'm doing all right so far, but that's buffoon territory right there. So I will do that before the end of the show. WinBet, the official online sportsbook of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. WinBet active in a bunch of states. Tons of way to win, including live betting and same-game parlays. The NFL playoffs are here. Great promos, odds and payouts happening right now at WinBet. If you're ready to play, sign up to receive a special offer. Bet 100, get 100, limited to state availability. Loads to choose from. Head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WinBet. So they know that me and Noah sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. Offer subject to change. T's and C's at winbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WinBet is available. If you were someone known as a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. And the SGPN NFL Playoff Challenge. SGPN has teamed up with Homage, if you want to give it a little French spin, for an NFL Playoff Challenge. The winner will get $300 cash, $100 SGPN gift card, and a $100 Homage gift card. Homage is a ton of cool retro and throwback, officially licensed NFL gear. Check them out at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/homage for all contest details and to download the SGPN app and hit contest. I had a little look at their merch in the old Homage store. It's flames, isn't it? It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of vintage stuff. A lot of stuff that, not really my generation. It was prior, so it's kind of in right now. I will say that. So,
do you mean my generation? Or does it?
Sure. Maybe. Is it your generation? Is it?
It's somebody's generation. Right, shut up. Right, here at least we'll start with. I'm just going to go down the list as it pops up in front of me. Toronto Blue Jays, Noah, which I believe is your domain. Give us 90 seconds or so on Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I got to find my Toronto Blue Jays page. So we're starting off with the odds, just reading them, and then we're going to get into the team preview a little bit here. The win total, it's a local book. It's not WinBet yet, but 94.5 is out there in the wild right now. AL East plus 190 to win it, which is the second best odds. Third best odds to win the AL, which is plus 650. And to win the World Series, it's plus 1,500. The additions that the Blue Jays made, they had a few acquisitions this offseason. The biggest splash was in the back end of their bullpen. They added an arm, Eric Swanson from the Mariners. He's a reliable leverage arm. Also acquired in a December trade was Dalton Varsho. He's going to slot right into the outfield very nicely. And he's going to give Alejandro Kirk a day off behind the plate if he so needs. Other adds to the 40-man this offseason were Chris Bassett, Kevin Kiermaier, Brandon Belt, and Zach Thompson, pitcher from the Pirates. They lost the Jays traded away Teoscar Hernandez to the Mariners, Lourdes Gurriel to the D-backs, along with catching prospect Gabriel Moreno. Then Toronto DFA'd Bradley Zimmer, Raimel Tapia, and they lost Ross Stripling, Jackie Bradley Jr., and David Phelps to free agency. We're looking at the rotation right now. The ace, Alek Manoah. Number 2, Kevin Gausman. Number 3, Chris Bassett. Number 4, Jose Barrios. And number 5, Yusei Kikuchi. The 1-2 punch is solid, but they desperately need a good Barrios year. They quite haven't had one yet when he's been with Toronto so far. Then we go into Fangraph's projected lineup for the Blue Jays this season. Leading off, George Springer. Number 2, Bo Bichette. Number 3, Vladdy Jr. Number 4, Alejandro Kirk. Number 5, Dalton Varsho. Number 6, Matt Chapman. Number 7, Brandon Belt. 8, Whit Merrifield. 9, Kevin Kiermaier, up and down. That's a legit lineup. Again, mentioned in the win total, again, 94.5. Toronto is kind of the sexy World Series pick this year from what I've seen out there in the wild so far on the bird. The odds are juicy at plus 1,500, and they can absolutely rake. I'm nervous about the rotation. Like I said, Barrios needs to turn it around. Can Alek Manoah avoid regression in his second full year? Will Chris Bassett be as good as he was last year? This lineup may not live up to expectations if you're looking at the negative side in the regular season because Teoscar Hernandez was their big RBI stick in the middle of that order, and Lourdes Gurriel was another solid bat. But all they need to do is just make it into the playoffs, and I really think that they're a legitimate contender to win it just because we've seen it with the Phillies already with last year. The bats get hot. They have a really good shot. I still need some time to decide on this team because the total 94.5 is pretty high, and I'm just not that high on this Blue Jay squad. I know a lot of other people are. I slightly lean under. I think they're going to come in the low 90s of wins. I'm not very confident in that prediction, but that's where I'm sitting at with Toronto right now, Malcolm.
Yeah, my instinct, because I haven't heard these numbers actually. You putting out these win totals. This is my the first that I've heard of any of this. And my instinct was that was just a hair on the high side. I made a couple of notes here. Like I've kind of made like a key player for every team. And Jose Barrios was the man I put down. I think he's a key player who can make or break their season. And you need to get a decent season out of Barrios. That is going to be key to what the Blue Jays can do. I really like the bullpen. Agree. And friend of the show, Johnny Junta, says the player for player, they have improved. You say losing Hernandez and Gurriel and improving them with KMI or whatever. So the war on those players is actually improving. So Johnny's quite happy. Barrios is key. But yeah, initially slightly on the under. And the captain's here. Aye, Captain Insano. Long time no speak. We've been having a little bit of chat in the soccer channels.
The opinions that were given out here, they're nothing close to final. And from me, and then the first time you're hearing the win totals as well. My in general opinion on futures is I'll play like 1-2. I really do. Like 1-2 team, 1-2 player. And that's it. I like to see the teams play and then a guy or two stay healthy, make it through about 60 games. And that's when usually I like to start splurging a little bit. But I in general am against tying up my money throughout a 162 game season because of injuries and whatnot, and maybe teams not living up to expectations. Just rather see them first. But wanted to put that out there. Toronto is kind of like right on the button. I feel like that 94.5 number is really solid, really tight.
Yeah, it's a long time to wait, and I'll throw a couple of darts at big price ones. If I like a 40 or a 50 to 1 shot, I'll back them. But if it's a long time to wait to cash a plus 110 shot, you know what I mean, to tie up a lot of money. So it's got to be sort of the fancy prices if I fancy.
And throughout the year, for those that have listened to us in the past, we make it known when we have a future. We'll mention it multiple times throughout the year on the podcast and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Baltimore Orioles. World Series prices 50 to 1, 25 to 1 American League, 28 to 1 for the division. Free agent departure of note, Jordan Lyles, who was about half of their payroll, if I'm not wrong. He's headed off to the Kansas City Royals. Free agent acquisition of Adam Frazier. He's bounced around the leagues a little bit recently, but I quite like him. If he can add 20 points, I know it's a big add to his batting average, which I think he's capable of. He has done in the past. I think he'll go okay. Kyle Gibson came in, 35-year-old starting pitcher. He had a 5.05 ERA last year. It's not hugely inspiring. And Michael Givens is back in the bullpen. He's done well previously at Baltimore. I think the key to this Baltimore team isn't necessarily in additions. It's more in the young players and the prospects. With the bat, you've had Adley Rutschman, who we saw a lot of last year. Gunnar Henderson. They're going to be batting 2 and 3. Further down the order, Kyle Stowers is a young player with a future ahead of him. And then the arms we saw last year. Bradish, Dean Kramer, Tyler Wells. And if we get a full productive season out of them, most importantly, Grayson Rodriguez, who's a top prospect who's going to come in. You've got John Means to come back from Tommy John, and Austin Voth still kicking around. I mean, the odds reflect the chances with Baltimore. They did really well last year. They're actually 10 points bigger than Boston to win the division, and Boston are 18-1. And I would take Baltimore in a match bet, total-wise, over Boston in that position. Did you have a total on Baltimore there, Noah?
Yeah, let me.
I was going to guess when
the computer's going slow. So, guess
okay.
Guess
I would put them at 75.
77.5.
Okay.
Boston 76.5.
There you are. Well, there you go. So, yeah, I'm kind of on the money. But, yeah, that's it. What do you think of Baltimore, Noah?
Well, in the offseason, I didn't really like a lot of their moves. They didn't really do much. They signed a couple of guys to, like, minor league contracts, like Nomar Mazara, Franchy Cordero. The pitching's not that great, in my opinion. I was kind of a little bit upset or disappointed with what they did because they go out there and get Kyle Gibson. I don't really know like what he's going to do, but as of right now, while Means is still recovering from TJ, Kyle Gibson's their number one. And then you go Bradish, Kramer, Tyler Wells, Grayson Rodriguez. It's not something I'll steal your phrase, to blow your skirt up, but the lineup looks very promising. You have Adley as a young 5-WAR player projected in 2023. Gunnar Henderson, he's barely seen much playing time. The Fangraphs is projecting him to be a 4-WAR player. Cedric Mullins is very solid out there in center field as well. Lots of promise in this Orioles team. 83 wins last year, so they're kind of lower on the Orioles. And I don't really think they got worse. They just didn't improve. So I don't understand the line being set at 77.5, as you famously hit it in the middle of August last year. I kind of lean towards the over for the Orioles again this year. Love Grayson Rodriguez coming up. I think he's going to he should be the horse in the rotation by the middle of the year, I think.
Next up then, Noah, for yourself, the Tampa Bay Rays.
All right. So I had a few of these teams where they're like they're not the entertaining teams, but they've got a lot of pitching. And that's something that I really like to back because it's not very public. But for Tampa Bay, their acquisitions, or should I say acquisition, they only made one in the offseason, and it's Zach Eflin. 3 years for $40 million. Not a huge splash there. Their biggest loss was, in my opinion, Mike Zunino, which is saying something when he's your backup catcher, and that's your biggest loss. They're going to miss the power that his bat supplies, but, I mean, they have Christian Bethancourt that if he can stay healthy, Fangraphs projects him to be above 2-WAR player in 2023. Other free agents on the outs are Corey Kluber and David Peralta. Like expected, the Rays did damage trading for some prospects, like always, and they were willing to kick in some of the back-end bullpen arms to do it. So guys like JP Fireeisen, he's now a Dodger. Brooks Raley, he's gone to the Mets. JT Shargoy, he's a Marlin. Javi Guerra, Brewers. The only 40-man position player that Tampa Bay dumped was G-Man Troy, traded to the Pirates. The rotation looks to be pretty godly, in my opinion, for 2023. You have Shane McClanahan as your ace. Ace number 2, full season Tyler Glasnow. Please, let's see him for a full 162. Then your number 3 is Drew Rasmussen. Number 4 is Jeffrey Springs. You really have to dig deep into the rest of the league to find a better first 4 starters in your rotation, in my opinion. And then you round it out with Zach Eflin. And that's a really good starting 5. And then you also have Shane Baz, who's getting healthier every day and should be there by the All-Star break. And maybe creeping into the postseason, kind of like Tyler Glasnow was last year in 2022. In the bullpen, their biggest name, Andrew Kittredge, is on the mend right now, but we know that Kevin Cash's bullpen, they'll be firing on all cylinders, and there's not really faces to the names. So it's like you got to trust them. The lineup right now projects to be via Fangraphs: leadoff Yandy Diaz, number 2 Wander Franco, 3 Randy Arozarena, 4 Brandon Lowe, 5 Harold Ramirez, 6 Manuel Margot, 7 Jonathan Aranda, a rookie first baseman, projected 1.6 WAR and 119 WRC plus. Wish Munaf was on the pod so he could hear me using WRC plus. 8 Christian Bethancourt, and in the 9-hole Jose Siri. The win total sits at 87.5. They're plus 400 to win the AL East. They have the 5th best odds to win the American League at plus 1,100, and the World Series price is plus 2,500. Now, you and the others on this podcast say they may lack offensive production, although it may limit them. I just say let's see a full season of these guys staying healthy, like a full year with Wander, a full year with Glasnow, a full year with McClanahan, and Brandon Lau as well. I'm heavily leaning Rays over 87.5 on this total, sprinkling them to win the AL East as well. Each year, this team isn't sexy offensively, but their pitching is just stellar. They're always overlooked because of the fan bases in the AL East, which makes their prices look that much better, in my opinion. So I'm on the over 87.5. Kind of would want a piece of that AL East price. Malcolm, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm about to make one of 2 mistakes that I'm going to make on the show tonight. And this first one is just to fade this Tampa Bay Rays team, which I do every year. I then declare I'm never going to do it again. And 5 months later, here I am back. So it all looks a little bit light. All my notes are just a bit wishy-washy and a little bit negative and just slightly underwhelmed. You're right, the rotation looks really good. But it has to be because this is a tough division they're going to be in with Toronto and New York, and then even Baltimore. We're going to come to Boston next. And that lineup just looks so underwhelming. But yeah, they'll find a way to get around that number. I'm just struggling again with it. Like, I hope Baz. We hope we get something out of Baz. I like the bullpen as well. I think it's okay. I love Pete Fairbanks in there. And you mentioned Kittredge. Zach Eflin's interesting. I mean, he finished the season closing, I think, in the postseason for Philly. So, yeah, we'll have to see. But, yeah, that's 1 or 2 mistakes. You know the one I'm going to make in a little while. I think you called it this afternoon. But, yeah, we'll move on next. I read you
like a book, Mal.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
got Chas McCormick 50-1 coming up later in the pod, too.
Well, yeah, Chas McCormick, Stan. Next up, throw it back to you, Noah, with the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, I got to find that team page because I texted Munaf in our group chat when we were doing this exercise, and I'm like, it's not very high on this Red Sox team. Their total wins or win total is set at 76.5 to win the AL East. They're plus 1,800, which actually they have a lower win total than the Orioles, but a higher chance of winning the AL East, I guess, than the Orioles. They're plus 3,500 to win the AL, plus 7,500 to win the World Series. Additions: the Red Sox actually made more moves than it seems, but they all don't really add up to much, in my opinion. The biggest addition is Japanese superstar outfielder who is said to be even better than Seiya Suzuki was last year. He's 29, Masataka Yoshida. Got to learn that name for the WBC because he's on that Japan team as well. He's 29. His best or last season in Japan, he hit 21 bombs, hit 336 with a 10.07 OPS. Other notable adds for the Red Sox were former Dodgers Kenley Jansen and Justin Turner, plus Corey Kluber. Those 3 free agents are all 35 years of age or older. Losses for the Red Sox, as most know, Xander Bogaerts opted out. JD Martinez is gone. Nathan Eovaldi, Michael Wacha, Matt Strahm, Eric Hosmer, and Frankie Cordero are all gone. You look at this rotation, and it's, again, not one that I'm very high on. Your ace is Chris Sale. Number 2 is Corey Kluber. Number 3 is Nick Pivetta. Number 4, James Paxton. Number 5, Garrett Whitlock. In the bullpen, the arm barn actually could surprise some people this year. They have Kenley Jansen, who had 41 saves last year. That was tied for the lead. And then they also have Matt Barnes, who's still in there, Chris Martin, and John Schreiber as well. Fangraphs projects this lineup to go leading off Masataka Yoshida, number 2 Kike Hernandez, number 3 Rafael Devers, number 4 Justin Turner, 5 Alex Verdugo, 6 Tristan Casas, a rookie power bat, number 7 Christian Arroyo, number 8 Reese McGuire, and number 9 rookie Jarren Duran. Again, total is 76.5. The Red Sox, to me, they lack a true shortstop. The rotation is just bad outside of Sale. And will Sale even stay healthy is a big question. The lineup, it's a big old bargain barrel with a Camaro in the middle with Rafael Devers. And there's just no protection around him if Justin Turner is just going to continue to be the same Justin Turner we've seen in the regular season for the past 3 or 4 years. The bullpen, like I said, could surprise. It's a little bit improved with Jansen in there. But the AL East, they could easily finish 5th below the Orioles here. I'm heavily leaning under. Malcolm?
Yeah, it's quite ugly, isn't it, really? Obviously, Trevor Story is goosed, which isn't ideal for them.
Didn't even mention that.
There has been quite a lot of churn in this Red Sox organization, even though I think, but it's all been such sort of low-grade deals that it's taken on the appearance that there's not been much going on. But you've just gone through the lineup there. Yoshida's exciting and the key one, but at the minute you've got Kike Hernandez starting at shortstop, Justin Turner DHing, hitting clean up, 15 home runs and 268 batting average, pretty much a full season last year. It's just a little bit, like I say, underwhelming. There's no depth there either as well. You're looking at the likes of Bobby Dahlbeck, Rob Ref Snyder, just these names, these very uninspiring names. Corey Kluber, again, just a shrug of the shoulder. There's a lot of things going on in this organisation with this roster. Just make you shrug your shoulders. Don't do much for me. There's much more fun teams to have a look at. New York Yankees are one of them here to round out the AL East. 8-1 for the World Series, 4-1 to win the American League, and even money, plus 100 to win the AL East. They re-signed Arson Judge and Anthony Rizzo. Free agent departures, Andrew Benintendi headed off to the White Sox, Jameson Taillon to the Cubs. Picked up Carlos Rodon. And an interesting one, which might have gone under the radar a little bit, is Tommy Canley, left-handed pitcher for the bullpen. I like him a lot. Strengths, the rotation goes really deep. I love it. Gerrit Cole, Rodon, Severino, Nasty Nestor, and then Frankie Montas. Not much beyond that. You might need a 6th or 7th arm. And then the lineup, I thought, was struggling a little bit for depth. They need more from Gleyber Torres and Rizzo. Rizzo didn't do much at all last season. And then what can they get out of Oswaldo Cabrera and Oswald Peraza? I think there's more bodies to come in for the New York Yankees. I don't think they'll go into the season looking like this. As it stands, these prices would be too short for me. I was in on them last year, but I wouldn't be fancying even money about them. Again, with Toronto sniffing around, even Baltimore, difficult division again, and the 4-1 and 8-1 for the league and the World Series do nothing for me at all. What do you think, Noah? And what total did you drag out? You're on mute. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, I had to mute my coughing. My bad. Oh, but I like your little total guessing though. What do you think the Yankees are at?
98.
95.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. So, for me, I'm again not that high on this Yankees squad. The rotation looks just absolutely amazing again this year with Cole, Rodon, Severino, Cortez, Frankie Montas, 1 through 5. I think that's the best in the majors. But you look at the lineup and it's got absolutely no depth. Like if Judge goes down. Like, this is nightmare scenario. If Judge goes down, they have one player above projected 3 WAR, and they lacked depth completely during the middle of the year last year when they had injuries. It was only Judge. So now you're looking at an order that's Gleyber Torres, Harrison Bader is the next projected highest, 2.8 WAR. Then you're going Jose Trevino, DJ LeMahieu, Anthony Rizzo, actually 2.3 WAR. expecting a little bit of like a regression year maybe from him. Giancarlo Stanton, Anthony Volpe, Donaldson again. They didn't really get a third baseman or a shortstop that a lot of the fans were pleading for. But yeah, I mean, the offseason was really highlighted by that Carlos Rodon pickup. It's for me, it's kind of like who's going to step in the back end of this bullpen? Is it going to be Clay Holmes again as the closer? You have a lot of guys that had some spotlight last year, and Wandy Peralta and Loizaga, and then they also still have Trevino from that trade with the Oakland A's last year. For me, I would kind of lean on the under, but again, not really strong either way. I just think that this lineup, if they see something go down with Judge, they've got nothing, in my opinion.
Yeah, fair enough. So a little fade on that total for you. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, because I somewhat expect a year of regression from Judge. And again, they've only got one other player projected above 3 WAR for 2023. They've got Rizzo and Stanton, but without Judge, I don't really see this offense doing much damage. It's kind of just like a Rays in New York, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, we move on to the AL Central momentarily. Football season cracking on though, and Underdog Fantasy. The season never ends right now. Play the Fantasy Football Playoff Best Ball, the Gauntlet game with $1 million in prizes up for grabs. Loads of daily games on NBA and NHL too. Plus, when you use the promo code SGPN at underdogfantasy.com, you'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100. That's underdogfantasy.com, promo code SGPN. So into the AL Central, and we're going to start with, Noah, this is you, the Cleveland Guardians.
All right, so this is that other one that we were talking about, or I mentioned that's really pitching heavy, and I just sort of love these teams because they're not sexy. Acquisitions in the offs, or let's start with the odds. The win total sits at 87. They're plus 150 to win the AL Central, which is the favorite entering the season. 6th highest odds to win the AL at plus 1,600, and they're plus 3,300 to win the World Series right now. Offseason acquisitions. So you guys gave me like a AL Central carbon copy of the Tampa Bay Rays, and to put that exclamation point on it, Mike Zunino left St. Pete for Cleveland. He's got a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Guardians. Their big offseason splash, though, was Josh Bell, 2 for 33. Much needed pop and power for both those guys. I think that does them wonders. The biggest loss for the Guards was Owen Miller, a utility player who had a hot start to 2022, but gradually just kind of fell off and hit that rookie wall. Other losses were catcher Austin Hedges. They'll miss his defense. And another catcher they lost was Luke Malley. I project their rotation to be the same as last year. Ace number 1, Shane Bieber. They have another ace in Tristan McKenzie. Good luck to the team that draws both of them back-to-back on a weekend series. Number 3, Cal Quantrill. He's a monster inside Progressive Field. Number 4, Zach Plesac. And number 5, Aaron Savali. The bullpen is tremendous, probably the best in the league. They have a couple of faces to their names, unlike the Rays, with their closer, Emmanuel Clase, their setup man, James Karinchak. We all know, just trust Tito and the stellar pen. The projected lineup by Fangraphs, leading off is Stephen Kwan. Number 2, Ahmed Rosario. Number 3, Jose Ramirez. Number 4, Josh Bell. Number 5, Andres Jimenez. Number 6, Josh Naylor. 7, Oscar Gonzalez, who will qualify as a rookie this season. We've only seen the tip of the iceberg from SpongeBob. Number 8, Mike Zunino. Number 5, Miles Straw. Cleveland's win total, again, sits at 87. This is a team that won 92 games last season and didn't lose any important pieces. The pitching staff is still disgusting, and they added some power that they desperately needed. This is a team that won 2 1-0 games in the postseason last year. Also 2 15-inning games that were low scoring in the postseason last year. The 2 1-0 games were won off of solo home runs. Like I mentioned before, that's desperately what they needed. They added Josh Bell. They got Mike Zunino. Jose Ramirez, in the middle of the year, he had that thumb injury and played through it. So now you're looking for more power from him. You got 3 power bats in that lineup. 87 wins in a division repeat could very well be in the cards for the Guards.
Yeah, I've made notes the same, really. I got the very similar team. Obviously, the rotation is great and pretty much unchanged. The lineup is a bits and bobs lineup. You had Josh Bell in there, but they're still going to have to kind of cobble things together. Really good pen. And they've got some interesting bench options as well. I like Will Brennan, outfielder, on the bench. He'll be 25 this season. He's going to be one to watch for me. I had the win total. I projected at 88. So, yeah, 87. The books have just about got this spot on. But, yeah, very similar for them. Next up, Kansas City Royals, who are 45 to 1 to win the AL Central. There's a price. 75 to 1 for the league. 150 to 1 for the division. Free agent departure, Zach Greinke. Acquisitions, Jordan Lyles from Baltimore. He had a 4.42 ERA last year. Pitched 179 innings. And the nibbler, we have got a nibbler, Ryan Yarbrough, came in, lefty nibbler from the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, Kansas City, you look at the prices here, and you kind of, your instinct wants to tell you that they're absolutely awful. But the lineup's full of really interesting young players who've kind of flashed individually. You've got MJ Melendez, Bobby Witt, Vinny Pasquantino, Edward Olivares, Michael A. Taylor further down. I like them all, but maybe just not all in the same lineup together. You could maybe get 2 or 3 of them in there, trotting out 6 or 7 of them. Might just be a bridge too far. The rotation of Lyles, Singer, Yarbrough, Keller, and Lynch isn't going to blow up anybody's scare, let alone just mine. So I'm not interested in any of these outrights. But Kansas City, you've got a team that will interest me on a nightly basis here. I'll be watching them very closely. I think they could be quite streaky, and I think we'll get them at some big prices in certain spots during the season. So I'm looking forward to see how Kansas pan out. They're going to be one of my fun teams, one of my ones to watch anyway.
Yeah, very fun team. They could easily, with how bad this pitching projects and how young and talented this lineup projects, could be involved in some very, very high scoring games. This is over team from day one. Like you mentioned, the young studs and MJ Melendez, he's multi-positional catcher and outfield, which is wonderful for fantasy. Then you have Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Mondesi, is he going to stay healthy this year? That's another 60 stolen bag season with, the base paths being shortened by about 4 inches and the bigger bases as well. Should be safer for the injury prone hands out there, maybe Alberto Mondesi. But the kid that I'm just so high on is Brady Singer. I feel so bad for him in that rotation because it's just Singer, and then the rest of them are all projected to be high 4, low 5 ERA guys. I think Singer's got a ton of promise. And then this bullpen, Scott Barlow and Amir Garrett.
Yeah,
that's it. So the win. Do you want to take a guess at Kansas City or
71?
69.5. You've been pretty close to most of these. So I don't know if they have the pitching to get them there, but I love the offense and I'm a sucker for it. So I'll lean the over, but I don't feel confident in it at all.
Okay, next up, while we're on the subject of dog shit teams, I give you your Detroit Tigers. No,
wow, nice little backhand leading.
You're gonna sit there and tell me they're great? Come on.
No, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you they're great because this is gonna be another sad season for the Tigers. Last year we had expectations. I feel like this year I've gotten none. First off, here's the issue. 38 or 33 of the 39 guys on the 40-man are American. You need more Hispanic influence on the 40-man. You have Miguel Cabrera, who's one of the best Hispanic baseball players and Venezuelans ever, and you've got 4 other Hispanics in that clubhouse for him. So 1, that strikes me as a little bit of a turnoff. 2, the new regime. There have been so many mind-numbing transactions over the offseason, just like little moves here and there. And they have acquired more than one guy more than once and then DFA'd him again. Like Bly Madris, we DFA'd him, picked him back up, and then we traded him to the Astros. So I don't know what we're doing there, but you ready for this? Here's our key additions: Michael Lorenzen and Matthew Boyd.
I love Michael Lorenzen.
I know. You look at the Tigers, they just picked up your pony boy, and they picked up the guy that we ran out of town. So those both of those guys are on 1-year prove-it deals. And then in the trades, this is the big one, in my opinion, Matt Vierling from the Phillies. He seems like the promising addition of 2023 from the offseason. Also added in that deal for Gregory Soto was Nick Matone. We got Donnie Sands, who's a catcher. I don't know where he's going to slot in the organization. And then Tyler Nevin, who batted 189 last season. Got him in a trade for the Orioles for cash considerations. But, those three young players in Nick Matone and Matt Vierling in specific, those are going to be major league players, and honestly, just good riddance to Gregory Soto. He was a heart attack in the back end of the bullpen. Losses for us: Jamer Candelario. He was a little bipolar. He was on crazy hot streaks and crazy cold streaks during the seasons. Joe Jimenez, I'm going to miss him. He was a leverage bullpen arm through the entire disaster of this rebuild. He wore number 77, which had a soft spot on my heart. Willie Castro, Victor Reyes, Harold Castro, Kyle Funkhauser, Tucker Barnhart, Daniel Norris, Drew Hutchinson, and Brian Garcia, all gone. The rotation. It feels like a disaster of a fan, because all I think about is how we don't have Casey Mize and Tarek Skubal. But on the outside, it might look better than what I feel it is after Mize and Skubal's elbow surgeries. Because you go number one, you have Eduardo Rodriguez. He wasn't here for the whole season last year. Number two, Spencer Turnbull, another guy that wasn't here the whole season last year, recovering from Tommy John surgery. Number three, Matthew Boyd, he slots right back in, comfortable with the stadium that is changing their dimensions for whatever reason I'm pissed about. But number four, Matt Manning. Number five, Michael Lorenzen. And then you have Bo Brisky on the doorstep, just waiting for an opportunity. The bullpen, yet another season where this is a top 10 bullpen from last season. You got rid of your two best leverage guys in the back end, and Andrew Chafin's still unsigned. Not sure where he's going to go, but he's not on the Tigers as of right now. So it lacks household names, but it should be better than average. The lineup goes number one, Austin Meadows, two, Javier Baez, three, Riley Green, four, Jonathan Scope, five, Kerry Carpenter, six, Miguel Cabrera, seven, Spencer Torkelson, eight, Matt Vierling, nine, Akil Baddoo. The win total is 70.5. Detroit won 66 games last year, and we're without our two young workhorse starting pitchers. To get 71 wins, they would need almost everybody in that fucking offensive disaster to bounce back. Literally everybody had a down year. All of them would probably have to bounce back to get up to 71. And you know what? I mean, you know what the fun part about this Tiger season is for me? I'm legal age to go to the ballpark and drink. That's going to be the most fun about it. So, I get to root on the out-of-town stars to help me hit the Tigers under 70.5 win total, so we can tank for Braden Montgomery in the 2024 MLB draft, because he's an outfielder, shortstop, pitcher, just a hybrid stud from Stanford in the draft for 2024. That's the only positive that I can look at it.
That's not a bad positive. You can go and have a few beers there, mate. I got nothing for Detroit at all. Austin Meadows is a little thumbs up, and I like Lorenzen, but that's it pretty much. We move
just
on
a
to
pile of shit.
The Minnesota Twins, 3-1 for the division, 25-1 for the league, 50-1 to win it all. Not done an awful lot of business. The big one's obviously Carlos Correa, who's eventually passed a medical. He's had a lot of medicals over the last few weeks. And 6 year, 200 and something million. They've actually done some there's more questions than answers for me with Minnesota at the moment. They've done some quite intriguing business, which is kind of down the bottom of their order and off the bench. So Joey Gallo, obviously a bit of a, like Javi Baez, you just mentioned, that kind of bit of a laughing stock, hit 188 last year. But there's a player in there. He's capable. Christian Vasquez, who's scheduled to bat behind him at 8. And then off the bench, Kyle Farmer as well, infielder. I like Kyle Farmer. I think he can have a good season. So they could put some stuff together. The rotation is incredibly average, is the most averaging version. You could throw a blanket over the ERA of the 5 scheduled starters here. Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan, Tyler Marley, Kenta Maeda, and Bailey Ober, all 4.1, 4.2 ERAs, all 5 of them. So interested in Minnesota, I am, because we're going to talk about the Chicago White Sox. I'm not invested in the Chicago White Sox. We've already put a line through the Royals and the Tigers. And this division, like last year, gives you a betting opportunity because everyone's going to be plus odds, and they're all still going to be plus odds probably in the middle of June, early July. So yeah, this Minnesota team with a couple of moves will certainly be going on my watch list, Noah.
Yeah, just like last year. I have a question for you though. Like,
no, hit me.
Other than Luis Arias,
yeah,
how many strikeouts is this lineup going to have?
Yeah, they could strike out a little bit, couldn't they? Byron Buxton, Polanco, Joey Gallo is good for 500 or so.
Yeah,
I agree.
They're a little 2-3 true outcome for me.
They need a DH as well, I think.
Yeah, they really.
Obviously, Nelson Cruz isn't there. Well, it's slated at the minute, I think, to be Nick Gordon. But yeah, Kirillov's sitting on the bench. Just go and get one. That'll be interesting because like a DH, like a proper one where you can slot into the cleanup role, and that'll maybe just tie the top of that order together a little bit. Yeah, but certainly that's what I mean by the sort of interest. And if you can give me a decent DH in there, they think, oh, hang on, all of a sudden, and maybe one more arm. We'll see how they get on.
Yeah, I would say like the starting rotation, like you said, throw a blanket over them, and then it's like a blank stat sheet. You wouldn't be able to pick like which pitcher's stats they are. Joe Ryan, young arm, promising. Bailey Ober had his moments last year. Kenta Maeda is just a bounce back year, and I liked Sonny Gray last year, and I think if he can, keep doing what he's been doing with the whole driveline stuff, that's kind of somewhat changed his game since he was a Yankee with that short stint there. I mean, with Minnesota, he's been above average, I would say. So, like, again, you're talking just, stay within the race at All-Star break and play competitive baseball is what the wish is for Minnesota, because you go out and you get Carlos Correa. Now you're expecting to be a winning team for the next 6 years. It starts now.
Yeah, Captain Insano is as out as we are. Oh, well, sorry. As in or out as we are, really. They're just a sort of a plain boring team. They just need something to get them extra 6 or 7 wins, and that'll do it. The main rivals here. Yeah, go on, mate.
Guess their win total.
81.
77.5.
Okay, all right. Yeah, well, you'd have them down as 500, like the captain's just pointed out. So yeah, I don't mind that. So part of the reason really is the Chicago White Sox, the final team here in the AL Central to look at, who are the Jollies to win the AL Central at plus 135, 13-1 for the league, 28-1 for the World Series.
You had White Sox at plus 135. I had the Guardians as the betting favorite, so shop around on that one.
To win the league, to win the division here. I'll just check on my local. White Sox plus 135, Guardians plus 140.
Nice.
With the Twins at 3-1. So there you go. Yeah, so free agent departures, Abreu, obviously off to Houston, Johnny Cueto, AJ Pollock, Vince Velasquez, Adam Engel, Josh Harrison, Elvis Andrus. So not sort of huge selling is. They've kept their team together. And really, it's a team that we didn't see a lot of last season. Ensemble, we didn't see them kind of together. They picked up Andrew Benintendi, which I think is a great sign, and he's a lefty, which they're a little bit short of. They've got some switch hitters in there, but a good lefty at the top of the order. He hit 304 last year. Victor Reyes was a nothing signing. And then Mike Clevenger to start and pitcher. He pitched 114 innings back from injury last year with the Padres, so we'll have to see if he can train on. We had the news this week that Liam Hendricks is going to miss some time with the non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, so best of luck to him fixing that. I really like the little statement he put out. Just the fact that he said, this is something that me and millions of people have to deal with, So I quite like the perspective there. So, yeah, good luck to Liam Hendricks. Rotation looks okay. Dylan Cease, Lance Lynn. You need a bounce back from Giolito, and then you've got Clevenger and Kopech at the end. The bullpen's interesting, which might not always be a good word to describe something. Kendall Graven and Aaron Bummer I quite like. And then, say, Ronaldo Lopez and Jake Diekman. They're quite old. Jimmy Lambert's a name. Joe Kelly. There's a lot of names in there. And then you need to give this lineup a full reset, really. Lewis Roberts, who sort of fell off a cliff last year. Eloy, Tim Anderson. They all need to stay healthy and complement Benintendi. Interesting to see how else they add, but I certainly think they're vulnerable at plus 135 with Cleveland sniffing around and Minnesota that we've just talked about. Coming off the back of that season, I wouldn't be interested in them at any of these prices at the moment, Noah.
No, neither would I. What do you think their win total's at?
86.
84.5. So you've been like a game and a half on most of these,
Yeah.
but you were actually quite higher on the Twins. So that says something to me. The big losses, I guess, like significant players from last season. Jose Abreu, that's killer for this team. And then Johnny Cueto was kind of like a rock in the middle of that season when they had no consistency from any pitcher whatsoever. But again, like they have the same four minus Cueto, and then they add Clevenger, who's basically a Cueto. And it's like a starting rotation that I think is going to be a top 5 in the American League. Dylan Cease has to avoid that regression after his great breakout season last year. Tonka Truck got to be Tonka Truck. You got to stay healthy throughout the year because he had one of the worst bad luck seasons with like BABIP for a pitcher last season. Mike Clevenger, like I mentioned, Michael Kopech I was so high on last year. I still think that breakout's coming. And then Lucas Giolito is the wild card. Like, can he be the 2020 Lucas Giolito when his changeup's just unhittable wherever he throws it? You can't leak a freaking changeup down the middle like he was doing so often last year. You look at the lineup and it's again, like I think it's missing that one big bat, like Jose Abreu. They have Luis Robert, who's projected a 4-WAR player. Tim Anderson projected a 3-WAR player. And some of these guys, one of these guys has to step up this season in the middle of that order, like Yohan Moncada and Yasmani Grandal. They've been having consecutive letdown seasons in a row. You need one of those guys to be a big contributor in the offense this season. And if they're not, I look for Jake Berger to step up and be active in the lineup from that bench. So, yeah, I mean, I was a sucker for this team last year. I'm not going to make the same mistake in the preseason, but again, if they're like somewhat in the race, I like the starting rotation. I want to see what they can do in early April and May and then assess the situation from there in the South side.
We might have to behave ourselves, Noah. I can't decide if Blake's our boss or not. Blake Myers joined us in the chat from the newly rebranded name Baseball Money is Fake podcast, which is the SGPN Fantasy Baseball podcast. I completed my first best ball draft a few days ago. Actually, I think Blake said he wanted to see it, so I'll send that across. You can tear that to shreds. So, yeah, good evening, Blake. Nice to have you with us.
Where are you drafting best ball for fantasy baseball?
Where am I drafting it?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Fantrax.
Okay.
Yeah, mate, it was a little $10 one as well. I thought I'd rather pay $10 and sort of do it properly than do a mock draft. You know what I mean? So, Yeah, I'll have a few more. We're very close to going over our 1 hour mark, Noah, which is going to cost you a fortune. Because new for 2023, people, if you don't know
like
this,
this rule. I'm not approval.
Noah can drag a podcast out for days on end if he wants to. So we've put for every minute over 1 hour that we go, Noah has to put $1 in the pot, and we're going to spend it on something fancy at the end of the season. So you're about 5 minutes away from getting your wallet out, Noah. We'll go to the AL West.
In the group chat. I don't approve of this. I'm gonna.
It's not up to you, is it?
Paying into the pot how much I make per podcast, basically.
Me and Moona for the senior partners here. So, and I think Blake signed it off as well. So no worries. AL West then. Turbo AL West. Noah, stop pissing on. The LA Angels, 11-1.
This is the exciting division. Come on,
for the AL West. Well, we'll make it sound exciting by talking twice as quick. 22-1 to win the league, 50-1 for the World Series. This is the second mistake I'm going to make. I've faded the Tampa Bay Rays. I have been seduced once again by the LA Angels. They traded for Hunter Renfroe and added Brandon Drury to hit in the lower middle of that lineup. They added free agent Tyler Anderson, who came along the freeway from the Dodgers. He pitched 178 innings last year for a 2.57 ERA. Added a name, again, another under-the-radar one in the bullpen. A name I liked was Carlos Estevez, free agent from Colorado. Pitched 57 innings last year with 3.47 ERA. The rotation is okay. I think, in fact, it might be better than okay. Shohei Ohtani, Tyler Anderson, then Patrick Sandoval, Suarez, and Reed Detmers, kind of darling of the show last year at various points was Reed Detmers, wasn't he? He got quite a lot of airtime. So, yeah, I like that. And the lineup is okay, too. If Tyler Ward can reproduce his season leading off, he hit, 23 home runs and batted 281. Then you follow it with Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. And then they've added 57 homers from last year with Renfroe and Drury. Interesting name is catcher Logan O'Hoppe, 23-year-old season, came across in the trade from Philly. They do need some help in the pen. But I just think the overall odds are interesting here, and I've done it again, and I'll regret it. But I was interested in the 11-1. It is a competitive division, but I was interested in taking an over total when I see it. Well, now I would maybe guess this at about 79, Noah, if you've got one.
79.5.
Ah, there you go. Right, I'll take the over then. Half a win.
Oh, you
get in the queue. Yes. So what have you got in the Angels?
Oh, I mean, it looks promising, right? I mean, this lineup looks
always great. Does
1 through 8. I mean, it looks better this year, though. It really does. Like, you have Taylor Ward, who broke out last year, and he's kind of been like analytical nerds, like wet dream, waiting for him to come out. And I was on him early last season with Taylor Ward. That was a big hit for me in one of my leagues. And then, I mean, the lineup projects Ward, Trout, Ohtani, Rendon. Honest to God, just stay healthy. Renfroe, Drury, Jared Walsh, Logan O'Hoppe, and then Luis Rengifo. I mean, up and down. That's legit. And then on your bench, you have Gio Urshela, David Fletcher, Max Stassi, and the airplane boy himself, Brett Phillips. The lineup is going to be stellar, and they have depth. And then they went out and they made a move to get Tyler Anderson that I like. Like, this is a pretty promising Angels team. And you're going to suck me in with you because I like the overs.
Yeah, let's do it. Excellent.
I mean, it's just like the books are just going to keep making a killing on this damn team.
30 seconds and you're on the clock, Noah. Houston Astros, what have you got?
All right, so I got to find my page for Houston real quick. They only made one addition in the offseason, and that was Jose Abreu. 3 years for $59 million. He's a wonderful fit for the lineup, a great contact power hitter, right there behind Yordan Alvarez. He was a former AL batting title winner. And, you know, they have two other 5-WAR projected players. So they've got 3 5-WAR projected players in this lineup. Losses, They lose the AL Cy Young winner in Justin Verlander. It's a tough loss, tough guy to replace. But if there was one team that could do it with starting pitcher depth, it was the Astros. Houston also lost Yuli Gurriel. He was a big glue guy in the clubhouse. Trey Mancini, Will Smith, Jason Castro, and Aledmus Diaz. The rotation, this was tough to come up with. They've got 6 legitimate guys. Ace number 1 and Framber Valdez. Christian Javier could be ace number 2. He could, make that jump, but he's got to avoid a letdown in number 2 after a breakout year. Number 3 is Lance McCullers Jr. Number 4, Luis Garcia. Number 5, I went with Hunter Brown, but Jose Urquidy could be right there.
Easy for me, yeah.
He could be right there as a depth 6 starter. I'm high on Brown. I am. I'll get into that a little bit later. The bullpen, they bring back Ryan Presley, who had 33 saves last season. He didn't play the full year. Probably would have been one of the leaders in saves as well. The bullpen was elite last year, even though it lacked a lefty. I would still prefer them to have a southpaw in the pen, but, they did just fine last year without one. Lineup, leading off Jose Altuve, 2, Michael Brantley, he's back healthy. Number 3, Alex Bregman. Number 4, Ari Jordan. Number 5, Jose Abreu. Number 6, Kyle Tucker. Number 7, Jeremy Pena, the World Series MVP. Number 8, Mr. 50-1 himself, Chas McCormick. And number 9, Martin Maldonado. The betting odds on this team, the win total is 97.5. The AL West, they are minus 215 to win it. They are the favorite to win the AL at plus 260. And they're the favorite team to win the World Series at plus 500. Like I said earlier, losing JV hurts, but it opens a spot for Verlander 2.0, in my opinion, and Hunter Brown, who's a kid from my hometown. I saw him pitch live in Detroit last year. He's a graduate of Wayne State, which is right there in Metro Detroit. This kid, I feel obligated to get a piece of his AL Rookie of the Year price. And again, I think it's going to be juicy somewhat in the beginning of the year because we don't know what their true 5-man is going to be. I think that he could emerge throughout the year for sure. He's only going up against Masahiro on Boston, I believe his name is. So I think there's an argument to be made that the Astros didn't get worse at all this offseason. Houston won 106 games last year, and I don't see any reason why they can't pass the century mark again this year.
Yeah, Houston, there was quite a lot of churn on the roster, but not with the key men. Not with the lineup or the starting lineup and the rotation. The change sort of came around the bottom of. When I looked today, of the 15 teams I've looked at in depth today, these by far the Astros are the most complete roster at the moment.
100%.
Absolutely, yeah. So everything you said, I'd co-sign. Houston looking good, and I think we're only going to get a little bit better as the season approaches. 3 to go. Oakland Athletics. How long you've got to explain what's going on at Oakland? No? They might be worse than Detroit.
They will be. In my projection, they will be. They have the lowest win total in baseball for what it's worth. It's 60.5. And for your information, it's minus 110 both sides. So it's not juiced either way. Wow. Additions, they picked up relief pitcher Trevor May. 1 year, $7 million. Jace Peterson, 2 for 9.5. Aledmus Diaz, 2 for 14.5. And Tyler Wade on a minor league deal. That guy could easily make this pro roster. I don't know what he's doing to sign a minor league deal with the A's. But anyways, they lost finally Sean Murphy. They were able to deal him away to the Braves. The last one that they have to ship away now is Ramon Laureano, who just kind of has to prove it after the whole PED scenario last season. Stephen Vogt retired. Chad Pinder is gone, along with relief pitchers Austin Pruitt and San Seaman. The rotation. Number 1 is Cole Irvin, and he loves pitching in the dump. Number 2 is Paul Blackburn, who we're a sucker for. Number 3 is James Caprillion, who had his moments last year. Number 4 is Ken Waldichuk, who we had a ton of fun with his name.
Yeah.
And number 5 is 34-year-old KBO acquisition Drew Rucinski. So let's be honest, it's bad.
I've got another name in there, Noah. They've just purchased a Japanese contract just this month. Did you mention him? Right? Shintaro Fujinami.
Oh, no, I didn't mention him.
Yeah, he's down as the SP5 at the moment. Literally, that could even be breaking news.
Yeah.
Because I've got Ruzinski from the KBO in December, and then Shintaro Fujinami.
I believe Shintaro is highly regarded too. How did Oakland
there you go. They've got him in his SP5, but like I say, that could be very, very recent news. So
that was a familiar name for me doing some WBC research.
Yes.
But I mean, let's be honest, it's bad, but it's actually better than I expected with like the first five inning money line potential. I think I really think that was a play that we were doing in the back half of the year last year with these young pitchers. I think that opportunity is again there this year because the bullpen's a pile of shit. The lineup projected by Fangraphs going leadoff Tony Kemp, 2 Seth Brown, 3 Ramon Laureano, 4 Jace Peterson, 5 Aledmus Diaz. 6 is Shane Langeliers, their prized rookie catcher. Number 7, rookie Connor Capel. Number 8, Nick Allen. Number 9, rookie acquisition from Milwaukee, Esteury Ruiz.
He steals millions of bases, Noah. If you want to,
and I think,
looking for a draft, he's going to run like hell.
And I think bags are going to be more often this year with the base path changes. Like there was research done. I saw somebody on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, but it was like they went from stealing 2 bags a game to 3 bags a game. So like on a full season long for fantasy, that's pretty big. So I mentioned their 60.5 win total. It's the lowest in the league. I don't think I need to mention any other future. This team's going to be complete dog shit. Ownership wants to leave the league. They would prefer the league would prefer them to stay in Oakland, and they would rather just expand the league. And the news came out that Nashville Stars are their number one priority. So like I'm psyched because that was I made a list when we interviewed Dave Sheridan of my top 6 expansion teams. And I gave them destinations and nicknames that I gave them. Number 1 overall was the Nashville Stars. It's just kind of like a minor league team that they have in that area. And it's a really big city, really cool area that I hope to go to sometime. But number 2, Las Vegas Vipers, 3 Rally Caps, 4 Montreal Expos, 5 New Orleans Cajuns, 6 Omaha Vaqueros. Let's make it happen, MLB. But yeah, Oakland has no desire to win. The under 60.5 wins is worth a look here.
Okay, next up 2 teams to go. This is back to you, Noah, for the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, I think I have both of the leftover teams here.
You do, that is correct.
Cover boy of the episode is Julio Rodriguez. Seattle Mariners, by far, they seem like the most exciting team for the public this offseason. The win total set at 89.5, plus 320 to win the AL West. They have the 4th largest odds to win the AL at plus 800, and they're plus 1,700 to win the World Series. Their additions, the big fish for Seattle was Teoscar Hernandez in a trade with Toronto. He's perfect, a big rib stick in the middle of their order to pick up ribbies. The Mariners, they also grabbed Colton Wong and Justin Topa from the Brewers in a trade for who'd they send over there? I can't remember. Their reliever, back-end reliever. Anyways, the Mariners rounded out their acquisitions by signing A.J. Pollock, Colin Moran, and relief pitcher Trevor Gott. The losses, Mitch Haniger, Adam Frazier, and Jesse Winker. Those are the biggest offseason losses. The fans loved Haniger, but he never really reached his true potential. I think a new scenery, a scenery change for him in San Francisco is going to help him. Frazier and Wong are pretty similar players, so I don't think there's like a huge letdown from the loss of Frazier. And I don't think Jesse Winker being traded away is worrisome at all for the Seattle Mariners team. He was kind of somewhat of an issue in the clubhouse. But I sort of forgot about 37-year-old Carlos Santana, but him and his one hamstring are gone as well. Eric Swanson was his name. He's gone. Kyle Lewis traded away to Arizona. Abraham Toro is gone. Matthew Boyd gone. Kurt Casale gone. Luke Weaver, Ryan Barucki, Luis Torres, all gone. The rotation. You have ace number 1 in Logan Gilbert. In Luis Castillo. Ace number 2 in Logan Gilbert. Number 3 is Robbie Ray. I was the conductor of the fade Robbie Ray train last year. but he could bounce back this year. Number 4, George Kirby. Number 5, Marco Gonzalez. That's an amazing starting 5. The bullpen. I was graced with yet another faceless top 10 bullpen from last year. Led by, he was closer by trade. Really, they don't really have a closer, but Paul Sewald, who turned it into auto fade in the postseason for me. But Andrew Munoz and Diego Castillo also back their household names. But they're missing a lefty. Like, they don't have one in their whole 40-man. So that's a little bit of an issue. The lineup projected by Fangraphs goes leading off is the 2023 Home Run Derby champion in Seattle. The All-Star game's there. Julio Rodriguez is going to win that. Place your bets now. Number 2 is Ty France. 3, Eugenio Suarez. 4, Teoscar Hernandez. 5, Colton Wong. 6, Cal Raleigh, a.k.a. Big Dumper. 7, J.P. Crawford. 8, A.J. Pollock. And in the 9 hole is Jared Kelenic. Big year for him. He's got to do something or else it's panic mode. Again, the win total is 89.5. And here's the thing. For me, everybody loves the Mariners, and I can poke holes in the roster. That's all I'll say. Meanwhile, the public sees the 89.5 hook. They're like, this team can win 90 games. I think the books want you on this over. I say not so fast. Here's the thing. Like, they lack the southpaw in the bullpen, which is an issue in my opinion. We saw the Astros do it last year, no problem. You don't have anybody to face Yordan Alvarez in the late innings. You need somebody to face a guy in your division 19 games a season. Because they brought in Ray in the postseason because they didn't have somebody in the back end, and Yordan took him over the batter's eye. It's a little bit of an issue. Is Ray going to underachieve again? Like, I think it is a bounce back year for him. You were high on him in 2021. I love Gilbert and Kirby, but what if they have sophomore slumps? Plus, I really don't love the lineup after their top 4. I'm going contrarian with the under here.
Well, Noah, Blake must be a Seattle fan.
Yeah, he is.
And he has just fired you, actually.
Perfectly.
Yeah, he's just fired you. However, if you're firing Noah, you're going to have to fire me, because I agree with Noah. Noah pretty much just said everything I wanted to say. I like the top 3, but after that, there's more questions than answers. And I'm left very underwhelmed by Teoscar Hernandez, Colton Wong, AJ Pollock, Jared Kelenic. I don't know what you want to do with these people. There's 2 names in the pen that I really, really like in a vain attempt to get my job back. Is Matt Brash. I think he's really interesting. I think
Brash, Blake.
Yeah, I am. He's another one. He goes on my list with Michael Lorenzen and Reed Detmers. And Chris Flexen as well. I think if you need a 6 starter, Flexen's perfectly serviceable. But no, I would take the under in that as well. There's just like I say, it's a little bit in the middle.
80 too. It's 89.5. People are going to think they're going to get 90 wins.
Yeah, so there we go. So it looks like we've got about 5 minutes left on our contract, Noah. So in those 5 minutes, say your job by giving us a stellar preview of the Texas Rangers.
Yeah, because I don't know if you remember, like, our last episode that we did. We were like, what's your one long shot team to win the World Series? And I was like, I don't think they're winning the World Series, but I think a team that's definitely going to get better is the Texas Rangers. And I named that, the starting rotation is definitely going to get better. I think they'll add DeGrom, and they went out and they did that. Like I said, the biggest addition, DeGrom, 5 years, $185 million. But to also fill out the rotation, they went out and got Nathan Eovaldi, 2 for $34, Andrew Heaney, 2 for $25. I really like both of those moves, as you can almost guarantee at least one of them will be able to sustain a number 2 or number 3 starter status. Then the Rangers also traded for Jacob DeRizzi. I don't know how much of an impact he's going to make, but he's there. Their losses, they didn't really lose a ton of impact players. Nick Solak's gone. He was probably their biggest loss. Then Matt Moore in the bullpen, Kevin Plawecki, Charlie Culberson, who's kind of been there forever. Dennis Santana. I'm struggling now. Kohei Arihara and Colby Allard are all gone. But, like I said, those aren't very big hits. The rotation goes Ace, Jacob DeGrom, number 2, Martin Perez for right now, number 3, Andrew Heaney, number 4, Nathan Eovaldi, number 5, John Gray, with Dane Dunning, Jake Odorizzi, and maybe rookie call-up, who I'm very excited for, Jack Leiter. waiting on this rotation, just opportunities. So the rotation is vastly improved from last season for sure, because Dane Dunning was their number one last season. The bullpen projects to be below average, and they don't have a closer, so that's the big issue right now with the Rangers. The lineup projected by Fangraphs goes number 1, Marcus Semien, number 2, Corey Seager, 3, Nathaniel Lowe, 4, Adolis Garcia, 5, Jonah Heim, number 6, promising rookie Josh Young, number 7, Brad Miller, number 8, Leota Tavares, number 9, Josh Smith, and they've got Mitch Garver as a bench bat. So I don't love their depth. After 4 or 5, I'll give Jonah Heim the benefit of the doubt. I don't love the lineup after it. Josh Young is promising, like I said, but the back half of the lineup is going to be a little bit of a dead weight with Mitch Garver subbing in for some pinch hit opportunities. The win total set at 80.5. They're the third favorite to win the AL East at plus 900, plus 25 to 100 to win the American League, plus 5,000 to win the World Series. They did more than just get DeGrom. Look, I was very excited for this offseason for this franchise. The rotation is one of the better ones in the AL. Some people are saying it's top 3 in the league. I'm not going to go that far. But I love the way that Chris Young and this front office is building the Rangers. They're accelerating the rebuild by getting, good, solid players right now, and they're building it from the middle out. And that's something that, like, in college recruiting, you really have to do well. They're building it from shortstop with Corey Seager, second base with Marcus Semien, center field's their next best player in Adolis Garcia, and their catcher Jonah Heim is also projected over a 2 WAR. So he's going to be better than average. The bullpen needs work, but I don't expect Texas to lose as many one-run ball games as last year. That was their big, big issue. So with a lot of the improvements on the starting pitching end, I don't think that really they're going to be toss-ups at the end of the game. Hopefully they're going to be like 3-0, 2-0, 4-0 ball games, depending on how good this offense really is. I won't bet a future on this team because it does seem a little bit fragile. They need to stay healthy. I'll love this team game by game throughout the year and definitely lean over 80.5. I'm thinking that they're going to finish third in the division, but I mean, the goal for the Rangers this year is just compete for a wild card spot.
Yeah, Texas seem to have done their business in sort of 2 installments. The sort of the lineup out last year and then the rotation out this year. They've taken a 2-year approach to it. I really like this rotation. Blake sort of a little bit down on it in the chat there, saying they're all 4+ ERA guys.
I don't think so. I really don't.
No, I don't think so at all. Obviously, we know we're getting with DeGrom, Perez, and then Gray, Eovaldi. Eovaldi needs to get his velocity is up. He'll be fine. Check on that in spring training. And Andrew Heaney, again, always talked about. You're right about the back half of the batting lineup, Noah. Josh Young is going to be really important in there. We need a full, healthy season out of him, third baseman. He's going to be 25 this year because there's a lot of low batting averages in there, 220s, 230s. Josh Young predicted to bat 6 can drag that up a little bit. So maybe one or two either prospects can stick or they can make another trade or another signing. I think the odds are right. They're where they should be. Kind of third best in, but yeah, interesting. Texas, I'll be certainly having them on my watch list, mate. Sheba Mania has joined us at the very minute that we've just completed our last preview. Sheba, how are you doing, mate? What were you going to say, Noah? Sorry.
So I pulled it up on Fangraphs. Blake saying that they're going to be a bunch of 4 ERA guys in the starting lineup or starting rotation. I mean, the ones that he said were going to be good were Jacob deGrom and Martin Perez. Perez is the only 4 ERA guy in here. John Gray sub 4, Eovaldi sub 4, Heaney sub 4. So, I mean, I'm higher on this rotation than him, obviously, but I think I'm lower than others. Like, some people are calling this a top 3 rotation in the AL. I'm not going to go that far, but I think they're legit. Yeah,
I agree. Captain Insane was questioning my maths in the channel. I've got everyone winning this division, all 5 teams. So 5-way tie, that's what we're getting up there. let's not worry about the details, Captain. Let's just don't let the details get in the way of a good story. Well, we're done, Noah. You owe the pot £20 so far, $20 even. Pounds or more. I mean, we'll do it in dollars. I'm doing you a favour. Anything else? You want to spend another $1 on telling us anything else before we go?
Yeah, so going over in the chat, we're down on Seattle. We're on that under. So
yes,
we're slightly over the Angels, and the Oakland Athletics are the run to the litter. They're going to have like 46 wins, and they're going to propel the other teams to their overs. That's the maths right there.
Correct answer. Well, thank you very much, Noah. Some combination of myself, Noah, and Dylan and Moonaf will be back next week, where we're going to have a look at the National League and go through all of those teams. The Discord channel has been on fire again today. The baseball channel has been really good fun. Sports Gambling Podcast.com/Discord. The soccer channel over there. Don't forget to listen to the Premier League Gambling Podcast. We're on fire, me and Big Baz. And it's loads of fun. We talk an incredible amount of bollocks. If you think this is bad, get yourself over there. Noah, anything you need to tell the people about before we go?
You know, baseball season is right around the corner. That also means the college baseball season is coming up as well. College baseball is starting up very soon here. We'll be having MLB draft talk in the preseason, and also conference previews. And the other thing is stay on the lookout for World Baseball Classic content.
Yes, correct.
I'm so down for it, and Malcolm's very excited. And USA, England, or Great Britain, they play each other on the 10th.
Baseball's coming home, Noah. Baseball's coming home.
For sure.
I mean, this way, not your way. We're going to do some World Baseball stuff, so that's going to be loads of fun. So
you guys are coming to us. We're playing in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, but we're bringing the title and the trophy back home with us.
With who? Jazz Chisholm?
Jazz Chisholm. You nearly said Jizz then, didn't you? Jazz Chisholm is going to fire us to glory.
Yeah, that's what you did when you saw Jazz Chisholm committed to your team.
Ooh, not at my age, mate. Right, that was loads of fun, Noah. Write that check out for $22. Send it to Moonaf. Thanks everyone for listening. All you fools who've been in the chat, we appreciate it. And stay tuned. You know where to find us. Until then, we'll see you down the road. Cheers.